This episode is brought to you by Kia's first 3-row all-electric SUV, the Kia EV9, with available all-wheel drive and seating for up to 7 adults, with a 0 to 60 speed that thrills you 1 minute, and available reclining lounge seats that unwind you the next. Visit kia.com/EV9 to learn more. Ask your Kia dealer for availability. No system, no matter how advanced, can compensate for all driver error and or driving conditions. Always drive safely.
Listen to the 48 Hours podcast for shocking murder cases and compelling real-life dramas from one of television's most watched true crime shows. Go behind the scenes of each episode with award-winning CBS News correspondents and producers in Postmortem, a weekly deep dive. Listen to 48 Hours wherever you get your podcasts.
Boobies. Boobies. Hi.
Hello and welcome
To
Boobies.
Boobies.
That's right. We're your host. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And we're here to talk to you about a Stephen King inspired film today.
Yes.
Yay.
In the Tall Grass.
In the Tall Grass, which is based off of the Stephen King short story, which we will be reading and covering with Mason on his podcast. So
stay tuned to hear us on Bibliophobia. So we can you can learn all about that side of the story. Like you said, inspired by his short story. So
yes.
Not a novel that he's written, but
no, because Stephen King novels they're pretty thick. Expansive.
Yeah. They're out there too. And so this is basically,
this one's pretty out there.
Yeah, I was one of them. I mean, there's a lot going on. A lot of concept and a lot of idea.
Before we watched it, because I had previously seen it.
I've seen it before once.
Yeah, I had only seen it once when it first came out as well.
I didn't remember all the details.
Andrew was like, so what is this movie about? And I was like, lots of things.
Right?
I couldn't really.
That's how I feel about it too, because it's like a Groundhog Day movie, but then like a religious like
undertones.
And then like this rock that's apparently been here since before,
which fills
the millennia, present,
and it's very
like it's sentient,
a god, a divine creature.
And then you have,
which is a very like prevalent idea throughout many Stephen King stories.
And then not to mention the like multi-dimensional like time looping
warp
interdimensional travel that we have with this film.
Just overlapping in the most bizarre. It was insane. I loved it.
Excuse me as I try to open this little can of Trulies. This episode is not inspired by Trulies, but it should be. And
inspired.
There we go. Inspired by a Truly. Okay, sorry. There we go.
I'm drinking live probiotic kombucha.
Yum. Love
this one's
kombucha.
Cherry berry. It kind of tastes like a cherry Coke, like a diet cherry Coke.
Okay. Let's see.
In my opinion.
Oh, yeah. But still kombucha.
Yeah, but still kombucha.
But it does. It tastes like a little bit of like a watered down soda in a way, but not like in a bad way that soda tastes when it's watered down.
Yeah.
You can still like get the kombucha part of it.
It definitely doesn't taste as much like kombucha because I normally drink Health Aid kombucha.
Kombucha to me sometimes can be really funky.
And the Health Aid kombucha is really funky.
Yeah.
It's very like
feet.
Yeah. It's definitely a fermented beverage. Yeah.
Some of them I can't stomach, to be honest, because I can't get past
like probably
the smell.
Yeah. Most of the time, whenever I would be like, "Oh, do you want to try this?" People would smell it, and I'm like, "Don't smell it."
Yeah, I'm like, don't smell it. Don't do it.
You don't want to do that.
It's like
you just want to drink it.
It's like that drink aid hangover cure.
The one that smells like gasoline.
So bad. Yeah, but it works.
I also kind of really like the way it tastes. I don't know what's wrong with me.
No, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with you. There's everything
Anything
right
that
with
tastes
you.
like a harsh chemical. Send it down my gullet.
It's basically made for Caitlin.
Yes.
That's what it is. Instead of an as seen on TV, it's as made for Caitlin.
As made for Caitlin.
With a C.
Which
Aitlin.
In the Tall Grass was. I thoroughly enjoyed this film.
I remember that when the first time I watched it.
And I'm excited to read the short story.
I didn't. Me too. I wasn't like that crazy about it. And watching it now this time, I mean, I still feel like, okay, that's better than I remembered.
Yeah.
But I can't say that I'm in love with it. But it is it's a cool concept. And like, I liked a lot of the themes. And then I guess my favorite part overarching is like, spoiler alert, the Tobin ending up in that room that we saw that was the door that he couldn't open. Which
was cool.
I thought like for overall, that's like my favorite tie-in. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But because I just think that's hella smart. Okay, that's cool.
Because at also one point in the movie, you got somebody watching them from within the church. And so then you realize like this is all happening at the same time. All like, of it's happening.
Everywhere, everything all at once.
Everything everywhere all at once.
Thing. Yeah, exactly.
Time is
irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no, it's not linear.
Scarily irrelevant in this film.
Yes.
As our people find out. Because if I were in this tall grass field, like I was watching it and I'm thinking like, man, like how long would it wouldn't take long for me probably to break down and like go into a psychotic little, what's it called? Spell. Because
the moment they jump and then he gets further away.
Oh yeah.
I would have been like, nope.
I give up. I'm dead. Unalive me right now.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's terrifying. And then
it is.
Like it really does at this point seem like
it shouldn't be possible.
And everything is out of your control at this point, it seems like. So it's just like, whoa.
I will say my notes for this film are a little bit shorter because honestly, I was just watching.
I can see that, yeah.
I did try to take notes as like much as possible, but there was just a lot of moments where I was like, I don't even know what to write.
And there's also like a lot of this movie too, you have to kind of like pay attention to the screen. Because there's even moments where it's like they're not talking, but maybe she looks at something and we see kind of a figment of something through the grass, like the silhouette of a person or like the thing or
the grass people
or the faintly hearing. If it weren't for captions, some of those like voices or whispering, indistinct voicing or chanting, like I didn't even hear at some points because I was like, oh, let me turn that up because it is there. Okay, some of them at some point I just didn't even hear. But yeah. It's okay. Let's get into it. Because we start with there's a lot of tall grass.
Yep.
A lot of grass.
Shot of grass, which it kind of seems like it could either be really tall grass or we're like super panned in on, like zoomed in on some grass, like little normal regular grass
that they made look like it was super big.
Yeah. But obviously it's tall grass.
One thing, the grass itself, like just getting that big and stuff, like it's beautiful. Honestly, I was like,
it's terrifying.
It's terrifying.
It makes you feel like an ant.
But like also really beautiful. But there are things that really terrifying. They're also really beautiful.
I imagine it would cut you.
Yeah, that's what it gave. There are certain plants as well.
Grass is kind of sharp.
There are certain plants as well, like in South America, that if they feel you touch them, they produce toxins like immediately to like harm you. So they can be lethal.
Exactly.
And as we do find out, this grass is. And we get our title card pretty fast on. It's in the tall grass. And we start
I loved that title card. Just a simple, nice red from because we had that like shot of the grass and it felt very like relaxing. It was just like
wispy, wavy.
But the music that we had was pretty ominous. Yeah. I will say I liked the music throughout this film most of the time because you don't really notice it, which I think is important.
It's very quiet and it's very like in the background, and it
until you get to the chanting.
It drives kind of, and then it becomes very tribalistic, almost like chanty drummy. It comes and it drives the plot where it needs to go whenever it needs to, and then it's gone when it doesn't need to be there.
Exactly, which I really appreciated. But yeah, then like, so as we're on that grass with the groaning and screaming with the harsh cut to the red title card, I really liked. I thought that was, I'm always a fan of that though. Whenever you have that stark contrast between like loud, overbearing sound to then just silence.
And then it's just, here's the title.
Yep.
That's it.
I'm a big fan of that. I feel like Jordan Peele does it a lot. And I'm a big fan of Jordan Peele. So
this is the Jordan Peele podcast. This is all it is.
Yep.
We're
just here to talk about Jordan Peele.
And so we open up with what I had thought at first. Oh, well, we're with a couple on the road, but we find out pretty soon that this is not a couple. This is a brother and sister.
Brother and sister.
And she needs to puke because she's pregnant and she's nauseous from the car ride, and like he's eating this burger,
and he's eating
like,
it kind of
obnoxiously. Yeah. And so she ends up, needing to barf. They get out. She barfs. And that's whenever we do have like some little funny banter not funny banter, but a little banter between them of like, her morning sickness and how she should be past it. And so they're talking more.
What do you know about a woman's body?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's when you can kind of tell like, oh, okay, this is more brother sister, but they do end up
or best friends.
Yeah, something along those lines. He did kind of give gay vibes to me, honestly.
Oh yeah, I thought he was gay.
A few moments.
That's why I thought she said, what do you know about a woman's body?
Oh, maybe that. Oh, I didn't even get it like that. Okay, that could make sense.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, but then I also thought it was weird as well later when Travis was like, "You want to fuck your sister," and I was like, it doesn't give that. It just does seem like crazy overprotective.
Overprotective, yeah. Yeah. I would agree. Cal and Beck are their names, by the way.
Cal and Becky, yeah. And so we do have her pretty immediately hearing a voice.
Yeah.
Which is little Tobin. We found out later, it's this kid voice who's crying for help. So we would all be like, oh my God, who's that?
There's a little kid. Yeah.
Crying for help out in the middle of whatever this.
Not me. I'd be like, well, is. Too bad, little kid. I'm out.
Literally, I'll leave that to the next adult.
Yep.
I don't know what I do, to be honest. After watching this movie, I'd hesitate. But before watching this movie, I would have just walked right in probably.
Yeah, I probably would have as well. But then I would have also, I feel like I've listened to too much true crime and stuff to where I would have been like,
people are luring people in
this
as
is
a trap.
A trap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Which they kind of say, especially once they hear the mom saying, stop yelling.
Yeah.
Like
she was like, there's something weird about this woman that's in there with him.
Yeah.
And so they already are thinking like, well, we got to go in there and go save him. And then you have like Cal being like, Captain Cal to the rescue.
Captain Cal to the rescue. He went to go park the car in that basically car graveyard.
Yeah, which also made no sense. Like, wouldn't they have thought like, why are there all these dusty ass cars here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that like, church.
Is anyone in this church?
The church also did have some sort of, I guess, we don't see it now. I'm sorry, but we do see it later when we see like the signage of it.
Oh, the name. Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, I don't remember the name, but I know I wrote it down.
I wrote it down. Yeah, it's somewhere down here. But something about the rock.
The Black Rock.
Of the Reverend Rock. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so.
The Redeemer. It was the Redeemer.
And so Becca's behind him. She's walking in. At the same time, she's trying to call 911. But just like any other scary movie, it's not going through. It's falling because of, ghosts.
It's got to.
Spirits.
We can't have a horror movie with a
working
call that actually goes through.
Yeah, come on now.
Or successfully stays on the line.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, of course this call had to drop and just die.
Wow.
Which was...
What did the call do to you? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, it did die very, very abruptly. And so obviously they couldn't get a hold of anybody. So nobody knows that they're out there. Nobody knows really essentially of their situation other than like, I guess their mom and dad and Travis.
And then even if they did go out there, well, they'd be fucked too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't like the only way to win is like somehow
stumbling
get out and then like somehow... I don't even know.
I feel like if you accidentally stumbled like Freddie did, just accidentally stumble upon the little pathway that gets you out, or like wherever, where at the end when Travis leads Tobin to that spot.
Because he's fighting the power of the rock and he's like pretty much knows all the secrets of it.
Yeah.
I just also feel like it's always going to be there because there's no point. Like, what if, like, let's say word gets out and then a whole bunch of people gang up and they're like, okay, we either need to set fire to this or like go and get all these lawnmowers and cut it down. Like, I feel like this grass would fight back.
Oh, yeah.
Like something would like, yeah.
There's no way they'd be able to.
Yeah. No,
or the people would
lose
fight
their mind
them.
Or somehow. Yeah, exactly. Like it'll find a way to like infect people and then they'll go crazy.
They like mow it and then it immediately is just growing up right behind them.
Fold,
and then they're just lost
stuck in it.
Yeah. In a maze. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It also gave me signs memories.
Yeah.
Because of the cornfield.
Yeah.
So that's pretty nostalgic. But anyways, they're in there and they lose the call. And because he went in first, and we'll find out later how the tall grass works. They seem to be really far apart from each other, even though she was just right behind him.
Yeah, she turned around and she lost him, and now their voices sound way further away from one another. And so does Tobin's. Mm-hmm. Like Tobin's basically at one point, Cal's like, Tobin, stop moving.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, and even she says to him at one point, like, stop moving. He's like, I'm not. I'm literally just standing still. Yeah, which
that was so creepy whenever because Cal realizes it first.
Because he hears her over here and then he hears her on this side.
Yeah, and it was like, ooh, like, that's spooky.
Because because that's when he's like, I think something's not right here. Yeah. Like something's wrong. Yeah.
Because he was like, you stop moving. And she was like, I'm not moving. Yeah.
And, this is whenever they start to decide, like, okay, well, we're gonna come to each other, and she starts singing those nursery rhymes.
Yeah, she's yelling like limericks and stuff. Like there once was a man named McSweeney. He spilled some gin on his weenie just to be cute. He added vermouth and slipped his girl a martini.
Did you grow up with that?
No.
Did you know that beforehand?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how I just remembered all of that.
I was like, that was so like...
Because I wasn't looking at my phone.
Yeah, I know. Like you just recited that. I didn't remember it all.
What was the next one? There once was a woman. She swallowed there once was a lady named Jill. She swallowed an exploding pill. It blew up inside her. And then her vagina. No, it was something about her vagina was found in North Carolina. And
I don't, they're obviously not meant for children.
No.
But it's perfect for a scary movie because it's also like, okay, these are very eerie and like dark nursery rhymes, it feels like. But yeah. And so she's saying that out loud so that they can hear each other, but it's not working. And they still are feeling like they're passing each other up or they're too far from each other. So at this point, this is whenever I believe even like fucking Tobin is like, even like, are you guys still trying to find me?
And then, he's like, what the hell? Literally. Why are you yelling these dirty rhymes?
And then even I think Beck is at this when she's like, fuck this kid. Like, but they end up jumping at this point and they're like, okay, we're going to jump. And so they end up doing it the first time and they are like right close to each other.
Yeah, very close to one another.
But then they do it another time. And granted, she's pregnant. So remember that she's pregnant.
Yeah.
So she does jump up the second time and they are so far from each other. It's just like
a football field length away from one another.
Yeah, that she even like falls back to the ground and then it's like.
Because she's shocked. Once she sees it, she's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Which that part was like, oh, that's so eerie. The first time I saw that, I remember, and even watching it again this time, I was like, oh God.
Because I also love how like
that would freak me out.
They the shot of them jumping, they kind of like, it's not slow-mo, but a little slowed. It's like a touch like
it hesitates delayed. Right at the top.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're getting to kind of see the high point right before you fall back down, which is really cool.
And so yeah, she falls into the mud. And at this point, I think that's whenever they were like, oh, okay, this isn't working.
Yeah, they're freaking
wrong.
out now at this point. She falls. Cal's just making a beeline. He's like, I got to find her. And
then he trips and falls into the mud.
Trips and falls in the mud. And he looks over and what does he see?
He sees some blood on a leaf.
Yep.
Which also, he forgot his glasses. So how do you fucking see this blood on the leaf?
I know, because it was like the drip.
He made a big deal about it too. I'm like,
I don't really have my glasses.
I left them in the car. But yeah, he saw the blood and then the drip on the, yeah. But then he like brushes the leaves a little bit more, the grass, sorry. And it's a fucking dead dog.
It's Freddy with his eyes gouged out.
So this
Freddy.
dog was obviously murdered.
Yeah.
And so that's whenever they do, I think they're talking to each other a little bit more.
They're like, forget the kid. This is about us now.
We gotta help each other out. Yeah.
We gotta find one another. Fuck this little kid.
Because it's about to be nighttime.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's already like kind of dusk. Like it's not necessarily all the way dark, but it's pretty much nighttime
definitely
right now.
getting that direction.
Yeah. And they're still lost. And that's whenever I think at this point Patrick Wilson's character Ross comes up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. This is where she runs into Ross, and he immediately gives bad vibes. Suspicious.
Like, so sus. Like he gives creeper. He gives, what are you doing here? That you're too convenient.
Are you really Tobin's dad?
Yeah. And also just like
at first I was like, I can't remember, because Andrew was like, no, I don't like this guy. And I was like, yeah, no. And then I was like, I don't remember if he's actually Tobin's dad. He is.
He ends up being Tobin's dad, but he also just gives Major like the way he is kind of like boss, like telling her what to do, and like what, like it's just like creep vibes. Like don't and it already feels
like, and at the end whenever he does make those sexual.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Do you want to feel me inside you?
Creep.
Like
that was the grass talking. No, I'm just kidding. But he gives just like from the get-go major douche vibes. Yeah. And like you just already know like this is going to be not your favorite character.
Very type A, the man that tells you you're prettier if you smile.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of, and then also touches your shoulder as he tells you like it's okay to be touching other people, and it's not.
Yeah, without their permission.
Yeah.
Consent. It's a real thing, guys. But anyways, he shows up for most of the part. I'm like, this is Patrick, because I didn't know his name was Ross until pretty much the end of the movie. But Ross is
I
there.
somehow I think he says Ross something's a name, and real estate's the game. Probably is what he said.
And that gives him his vibes. And so he ends up telling her like, you know, I can get you out of here. I know the way out. And then that's whenever I think she's even like, well, if you know the way out, like, why are you still in here?
Yeah.
And he's just like really trying to like almost car salesman up. He's very trying to divert her attention and like change the subject and being like, well, come on, like we gotta go, you gotta follow me.
Yeah,
I'm the only
and I mean
way
he does come up
out.
with a pretty valid response that makes her
think
put her guard down, and he was like, well, I'm not gonna leave my family out here, which again we can tell is suspicious. But he hasn't been able to find his family yet, and so that she takes that as like an okay, well, I'll follow you.
And then we come back with Cal. He's kind of giving up hope a little bit, it seems like. But then Tobin pops up.
Fucking Tobin. Tobin looks so creepy.
With a fucking dead bird.
With his little eyes, too. The way that they're this like glowing in the moonlight.
This actor is pretty creepy looking, to be honest.
He is.
Sorry, kid.
Sorry, kid, but you're a little creepy.
But hey, you'll have a shtick and you can get some roles with that.
Yep.
But he's also being really cryptic as fuck, because he's like basically saying like, Becky's gonna die. The grass told me, and also you're never getting out of here.
You'll be able to find her soon because.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
It's easier to find things once they're dead. The Phil doesn't move dead things around, which is such a common thing throughout the whole thread throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, this definitely comes back to play.
Yeah.
Probably in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so that's whenever we do have him telling him basically Becky's gonna die soon, and the reason I know this is because of the rock, and the rock tells me everything. It tells me to listen to the grass, and this is how I know. And then Cal is like basically
the tall grass knows all. It knows everything.
Cal is trying to ask Tobin like, you know, if he knows where Becky is, then to show him. And then Tobin is like, you know, okay, I'll take you, I'll show you. And so I at this point was thinking, oh, he's gonna like, you know, take him to Becky, but no, he ends up taking him to the rock.
Yep.
The big ass rock.
And this is a Tobin that survived other things.
Yeah, that's true.
Because this is a Tobin that's touched the rock, and not the Tobin that we get at the end. Because that Tobin is a different Tobin
that didn't touch the rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
because this Tobin looks crusty. This Tobin has been through it.
Yeah.
He is like covered in mud, blood, scrapes. Like,
he's been killed before, right?
Probably one of the other times.
I'm sure by this point. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure he's been killed multiple times, just like the mom has and stuff.
That is so crazy.
Just like,
but then why didn't the mom like respawn at any point?
She was probably trying to stay away from Ross.
Maybe. She was there the whole time. Just, this is not your movie, bitch.
Trying to silently find, because she knew Ross would kill her.
Bro, the mom like secretly got out. Didn't tell anybody.
And she was just like
living a whole
beep, 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 bye bitches.
For real, I'm out. No more fucking ratty ass kid. No more
little kid that doesn't listen.
Husband. Literally. So we cut back to Ross and Becky, and they're having a conversation. Essentially, I guess he's trying to get to know her, and he's talking to her about his family and stuff.
Saying family is everything. Kind of thing.
And I guess, well, he's really trying to build it up like he's a good guy and he's trying to find
family
them.
Man.
Yeah. And then he's asking her questions about, well, I guess not necessarily, like he makes a thing in situation and then he's like, oh, the dad's not in the picture, huh?
Yeah.
And that's whenever, what did she say? She's like, he wasn't ready for it.
He wasn't ready. Yeah. And he says like, well, his loss. And as they're having this conversation, Becky looks down and she sees like this little fanny pack that's been spilled open and it's got like pills, but then she also sees some bloodied hair next to it, which was blonde, which makes me think it was Tobin's.
Oh yeah, instead of
because the mom was
Natali
brown.
was brunette.
Yeah, she was a brunette. But then as she's looking down at the bloodied hair and stuff, we lose Ross. And this part,
did it scare you?
Scared the shit out of me.
It's a good jump scare.
I was trying to type and I was like, I remember finds
it.
Pills and bloodied hair. I jumped and my phone fell because my arms went fuck and I dropped my phone.
Nowhere. It really does.
It does. I wasn't expecting it.
Well, and also too, like a lot of other jump scare moments, like they kind of build, I feel like, longer.
Yeah.
This didn't really build that long and it's just like, whoa.
It was all sudden. It was there.
Yeah, because
you weren't expecting it.
Miss Becky ends up running into Natali.
Yeah,
the wife. But we don't really see anything because it just shows the grass and a lot of movement from an aerial shot, which we do get so many aerial shots of the grass in this film.
Yeah.
And we're hearing
which are
screaming.
all really cool looking.
Yeah, and we hear screaming.
Yeah.
But I think after that we just get daylight. Cuts to daylight.
Yeah.
Right.
And
yeah.
I think so. No, I think it's Tobin running.
Sorry. Yeah.
Tobin's like, follow me, but also
left Cal in the dust.
Yeah, he's just like, eat my dust, motherfucker.
And even Cal's like, you gotta be slow. And he ends up taking him to the rock.
Yep, they find the rock.
Which is a huge ass rock.
And this is the Tobin that has touched it because he touches it.
I hate the way he's like, boy, that sure does feel good.
Boy, that feels good.
It's so weird.
It was.
I was like, what the fuck? Is the rock a drug?
Because he was basically like, you see, whenever he puts his hand on it, all of he gets little goosebumps and the hair stands on end on his arm. And then he's like, whoo. He's like, he gets a little shiver.
A little hit.
Yeah.
And so he tries to get Cal to touch the rock. And that's whenever he almost touches the rock. Sorry. And then that's whenever he hears Becky's screams.
Yeah.
And that's when he starts to run after her.
And Tobin's like, sorry, Cal, too late.
Yeah.
Already.
And at this point, it's daylight, I believe now.
Yes. And then this is where
we're with some dude in a truck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who turns out to be Travis. We don't find that out for maybe a little bit. But I immediately was like, this is probably the dad.
And he is looking for Becky and Cal because we see he has a picture of the both of them. And he ends up getting to the church. He does see their vehicle there.
Yep.
And he recognizes it, and he's
the
able
Church
to
of the
look in.
Black Rock of the Redeemer.
There we go. And you can tell that it's been a while because like he looks in there and like there was that burger that Cal was eating and it's just like moldy as fuck
and covered in maggots.
And there's so much dust that it's been sitting there a while.
Like the license plate was like blacked out almost with all the dust. He had to sit there and brush it off to even make sure it was theirs.
And he ends up walking into the church, which is very green.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
Of the lighting, I guess coming through the stained glass or whatever it was. But it was really pretty. And he ends up seeing this door all the way at the end of the way, and it also
looks like a big medieval.
It does. It reminded me of Sleepy Hollow.
Oh yes,
with the church with the door all the way at the end. And he, what does one do when they see a door?
You try to open it,
but he can't.
It's locked.
Can't get in through it. And so at this point, he does get out of there. And he hears a little kid yelling, asking for help. And
he picks up the copy of Jane Eyre, looking busted AF too, that says has Becky's name in it. So he's like, okay, I know for sure they were
Becky
here now.
Was here. And so he ends up going into. He wakes up. He ends up going into the grass. Yeah.
Yep. And at least he had the wits about him to bring a backpack on.
Yes. And then he, even as he's like going about his way, trying to make his way to Tobin, he is making knots with the grass.
Yeah. Like trying to tie it. But of course the grass is
unknotting itself, untying itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at this point he's been in there a while and it just ends up being nighttime. And I guess he's just like, well, I guess.
And he's pretty smart. Like he must have done some sort of, boy must have been a Boy Scout or something because he's following the sun.
Yeah.
He's following that and trying to make sure that he's going in a straight pathway. And then all of a sudden he realizes the sun has moved over him.
Yeah.
Like drastically.
Like, what the fuck?
Now it was in front of him and now all of a sudden it's behind him. And he's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So this guy, I mean, Travis was honestly pretty smart.
Yeah.
With everything that he went about. But
he's a pretty good survivalist.
Yeah. But then it
just the time escapes him
elapses.
Because he's literally just been trying to find his way this whole time to get back to the road. And I guess he just decides like I'm gonna go to sleep. Because he just kind of gets down and he lays down and he's just trying to lay there, but he ends up hearing noises, and that's whenever he's like, what the fuck is that? And it ends up being Tobin.
Yep.
Once again it's Tobin.
I was like, Tobin finds dad. I was like, no he doesn't, but I didn't know Travis's name at this point. And so I was referring to him as dad. And I even knew in my notes yesterday as I was writing this that I was like, this is going to confuse me.
Yeah.
And I still didn't fix it.
I feel that feeling. That was me on the last movie we did with the dad and the dad.
Oh,
who
yes.
was not dad number 1, but dad number 2.
Yeah.
But anyway, we do have him talking to Tobin now. And there's also like a bunch of whispers carrying through the wind and the grass as Tobin's talking to him and telling him about the grass, I guess.
Yeah, and there's like laughter too. It almost sounds like happy stuff happening.
And Tobin is trying to tell him, like, you know me. Like, what do you, like, I know you,
Your
Travis.
name's Travis. You're looking for Becky. Like, how do you not remember all this?
Yeah. And Travis is obviously asking Tobin, like, oh, you know where Becky is? And Tobin's like, yes, I do.
I can show you.
Are you
but
sure
are you sure you want
really
to see
her? Oh, God, it's so cryptic. Like, yeah. So he ends up taking him to go see Becky. But obviously, she's fucking dead.
Yeah.
Her corpse is just on the floor.
And this is where, again, the field doesn't move dead things. So that's why he knew how to get to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so at this point, we do have him crying over her body.
And then he finds some sort of crab necklace.
Yeah, that I guess he gave to her. I don't know. It's like has very.
I'm assuming it was maybe like, aren't cancers crabs?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And so that's whenever I think Tobin like disappears at this point. Or something, or gets away from him.
Yeah, time. My next note is that time starts overlapping now.
Oh yeah,
because
it's daytime now.
Yeah, we're back and we're now with Tobin and Freddie hearing the Travis yelling out there, because Travis couldn't find him.
Yeah,
and then,
he's yelling at Tobin. Yeah, I see where you're at.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever we do have the Tobin's family out here now going into the grass field because they were hearing Travis in the field of grass.
Yeah.
But because see, this is even confusing to talk about now because Travis went in because Tobin was calling him, but now they're going in because Travis was calling him, which is why Tobin knew him from the first time of him calling him. Like, yeah, it's all cyclical.
It's all a big mess. And at first Tobin was hesitant, but then of course Freddie the dog runs in and Tobin chases after him, and then too late does Travis say, "Don't come in here."
Yeah.
But and at that point it was a little too late. Mom, Dad, Natalie, Ross, they're all in there now.
And at this point, I believe after they go in, it kind of transitions out and it's nighttime now.
Yeah, and we're with Ross.
And he is complaining about, this is when he's like,
getting mad at Tobin.
Kid that can't listen. Like, ugh, like now
a
I'm
wife
out here.
Who, like, if only his mom could act like a mom for a day.
Oh, yeah, and take care of her son.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he sounds like a really shitty person at this point. And so he's just going in there and he ends up very quickly finding the rock.
Yep.
And he gets his way to it and he touches it. And I think at this point, it fades away from that because we don't really see anything.
We're getting like chanting in the grass and stuff like that.
Because it's daytime and stuff.
But then now we're hearing Tobin scream again and it's all happening again. So now Becky and Cal are back out at the start.
Yes. And that's whenever they're back there when they first heard Tobin. And
this is where we see someone watching from the church as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
And so they end up going into the grass again. But this time they hear Travis in there.
Yep.
And Travis is now in there and they're like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And he's trying to explain to them, like, "I followed you here." And they're like, "Oh, well, you must have been right behind us." But he's like, "No, it's been months. It's been 2 months actually since y'all left. Y'all never made it to San Diego." And he has to explain to them, like, your parents are really worried sick, but there's not really any search happening. So that's why I came and like went out of my way to try to find you so you get some answers.
Yeah, exactly. And they all find each other by, I believe Tobin finds Freddie.
That's right, yeah.
And he's like, "It's my dog. He's dead." And then that's when Travis is like, "Okay, Tobin, stay where you are. Keep talking. We're all going to come to you." Because Travis knows that the field doesn't move dead things. So Travis does, but this is new Tobin that doesn't know this yet.
Yeah.
And so it's all a mess.
Yeah, very much so. And so as they're talking about all that and they get all that, they end up putting Tobin on, on Travis's shoulders. And they're like, "Can you make out any buildings? Can you see something? Can you see the road?" And he does end up seeing like the top of one building. And so they end up using that as their kind of anchor and they're just going towards it. Yeah. Essentially. And at this point, Becky's phone, I think, even does something weird.
Yeah. She gets a call from an unknown number. Or I think it was Cal's phone who got the call, but they answered and it's someone saying, "Don't let Cal hurt Travis, otherwise we're just gonna be stuck in the same cycle over and over again." And then you hear like screaming and then the phone
cuts out. And she's also been feeling kicks at this point, and she tells Travis that she was going to name the baby Jenny, short for Virginia.
Jenny
gives me Forrest Gump. And so that's
also
we do see someone
Harry
else.
Potter.
Yeah, it's true. We see someone else is watching through the grass because we see a little blue eye.
Yep, someone's watching them, and it's
which
really
is obviously
creepy.
Ross because Ross has blue eyes. And so they are close to the building that they're trying to get to, but of course, as like they're almost close to it, Becky ends up passing out.
Yeah, and it seems like she's miscarrying because there's blood coming from
her yuku.
Yep.
And at this point too, we do see like for some reason it goes to like images of like this baby in utero getting wrapped up in grass.
Yes, and you get like this red sequence with the sky filling with red clouds and stuff. It's almost like blood whenever you put like red food coloring into water and the way that it just billows out. You're getting that across the sky.
And we're seeing very much, she's seeing grass head people as well, kind of like visions of all this stuff that we will see later on in the movie as well.
Yep.
And then, of course, Officer Captain Ross comes out of fucking nowhere to the rescue. And he's just like...
He starts performing chest compressions on her, gets her to come back into reality. Yeah.
Whatever this reality is for them. And so she's back, but he just happens to be so helpful and so convenient. Like, but he's a bad guy. Yeah. We already know. So he's being weird, and he's singing some damn folk song as he's like trying to lead them to, because he's saying he knows the way out. He's got the
golden ticket for any takers, and
it's like just the way, like, who talks like that?
Yeah. And he was saying that fate conspired for us to meet and stuff like that, and it's just like all very, again, cryptic. And
because Travis is a musician and he used to like play a something, I don't remember, something like that.
And Ross was talking about how me, my Gibson, and Jesus, we were going to rock the world. And I went, rock.
And then he says how he got the girl pregnant. And I'm like, is that Tobin? Because also, like, Tobin's only like 5 and you're like 50. Like, so
I feel like maybe he's just a white dude who aged rather poorly and was probably in his 40s.
I guess. I was like, was he supposed to be playing like a 33-year-old, like a 35-year-old, a young father? I don't know. And so he ends up leading them to the rock, which he said he was leading them out, but he leads them to the rock.
Yeah.
And he's being even more weird.
He says nothing but nothing compares to this.
Mm-hmm. And he's going off and sounding like a religious zealot, kind of like a nut.
I'd hazard this stone is the center of the center.
Mm-hmm, because it's in the smack dab in the middle of the U.S.
Contiguous U.S.
It's basically, what do you say, the center of everything? And he's saying that once you touch the rock, you see all, basically. You know all and all that stuff.
And they're like, what the fuck? You said you're going to show us the way out. And he's like, but darling, I have shown you the way out.
This is
it. Just put your hand on it and you'll know.
And I think it's Travis is the one, or is it Cal? Cal's the one that starts kind of going up and he's looking at all the symbols that are on it. And he's kind of inspecting it further and he's asking more questions about it. And at this point, that's whenever I think Natali fucking pops out of the fucking tall grass.
Yeah, she sure does. Yeah, she shows up and she was like,
she grabs Tobin.
Get away from him. He's going to hurt y'all. Mm-hmm. And he was like, what are you talking about? And then he's like, Mommy's confused, Tobin. Like, trying to coax Tobin back over to him. Mm-hmm. But obviously Natalie's not having it, and everyone else is getting sus vibes from him anyways. So they're like, and also everyone, Natali.
But also everyone is like, also, who's this crazy bitch? Because then she's like, wait, I saw you, as she's pointing to Natali, and she's like, you were dead. You weren't alive.
Yep.
So now they're like, wait, what the fuck? Now this bitch is saying that she's dead, but she's obviously alive.
Becky's
here.
right here and alive.
So then it just seems like there's a whole lot of crazy going on.
And that's why he says Tobin Mommy seems confused.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
And then I love how I feel like after, Ross starts going off on his tangent about all that stuff. And then I think Travis is like telling him like, okay, you know what? You just got to let them go. Let us all go. And how Ross goes, or what? And all the grass just stops moving. Yeah. I thought that was pretty sick.
It was like, oh shit, is he a god now?
Yeah.
Like,
ugh. And even his delivery, Patrick Wilson played a pretty good bad guy.
Oh yeah, he did a great job.
He's just, or what?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so crazy.
He did a good job.
And so the grass stops, and then that's at this point whenever I think Travis then is just like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna do it, because Travis just fucking starts to attack Patrick. And I think even at this point he's like, asking for Cal for help or something, but Cal doesn't do anything, and it's just kind of a mess. And then Ross ends up getting the upper hand on Travis.
Yeah.
And kind of
dislocates his shoulder.
That's right. Yeah.
I think is what it is.
To fall on the ground.
Yeah.
And so at this point he ends up getting back to Natali.
Which this part is fucking
brutal. Yeah, because he's talking to them and he's just got his freaking hands on her head, and you already know what's about to happen. And he's I think Tobin is just like, begging him not to hurt Mommy, and then he's just like, it's okay, Tobin, Mommy's just flesh.
All flesh is grass.
And all flesh is grass. Yeah. And just squishes her head.
Crush the mom's skull.
Like a watermelon.
And then this cues them to start running.
Freaking out. Yeah.
He was like, you can't run from redemption.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, ah. And then all of a sudden, Freddy's alive again. We got another Freddy.
Yeah.
Who's survived it all.
Literally.
And they make it to the bowling alley.
They do.
They finally make it to that building that they'd been trying to get to all along.
Which also, why the fuck is there a bowling alley?
I know.
In the middle of this fucking tall grass.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Who knows?
What the fuck?
Very bizarre.
So yeah, they end up getting there. Cal has to pop Travis's shoulder back into place. And then Travis and Cal get into the dumbest fucking argument ever.
Start fighting over Becky, basically. Literally. This is where we were saying Travis was like, it seems like you want to fuck your sister kind of thing.
Fucker.
And it was like, okay, you brought that a little far.
Sister,
I don't think
cousin, what's the difference?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. And so that's whenever Patrick, I think, even then gets to them. And so their fight has to kind of, because they're not even done, they're not over it, but their fight has to get, they have to put it on pause because Patrick Ross is here. And he ends up chasing them essentially up to the roof.
Yeah, they make it up to the roof. And this is where, Becky is consoling Tobin, but Travis and Cal are kind of trying to look for a way out because they know that they can't be up there forever. And this is where they see Freddie disappear behind the grass.
Yeah.
Which was like, and then you see him pop out over on the road, because you can see the church and the road from there. And so they were like,
which also made no sense to me.
Well, they did pass it, but it seemed like they passed it much further back.
Yeah, it just seemed like at this point now it's like, oh, why is everything like, well, here's the bowling alley, here's a little grass, and there's a road, like, and there's a church. Like, it's just like, but it's obviously the tall grass. It's
because it's been moving everything. And yeah, you just go behind this one little patch of grass and then it
takes you out,
poops you out onto the road.
And so they're obviously like, well, that's our ticket out. Like we got to go that way. And this part was pretty brutal, man. Yeah,
because Cal's hanging on to this, like the signage, like the bowling pin that's up on the roof, and it breaks, and Travis is
hanging on. Yeah.
And Cal catches him whenever it breaks, but then Cal just opens his hand and lets him fall.
Very Mufasa.
Yes.
Yeah. Very Mufasa. Like, brother, help me.
And then he's like,
long live the king, and just like, let's go. And so he just falls down, which is pretty sad, because Travis was up to this point pretty much like the antagonist, like the good guy, the savior, the hero.
Yep.
And Cal literally, like, because I love the way, kudos to the direction and I guess like him as an actor, because you can really read on his face as an actor, like he's like, this is it, this is my opportunity and I am taking it. And like it just switches from like, oh my god, bro, are you okay, to like, I'm letting you die, fucker, death. I hate you secretly, so this is perfect. Yeah, this is
my chance to get rid of you and in Becky's life forever.
And so as soon as all that happened, though, of course, who fucking saw this happen? Little Tobin.
Yeah.
And so then he's like he's probably trying to come up in his head with an excuse of what happened, but he
fell
and he's
backpedaled.
Thankfully saved by Ross waking up. And so then he's like, oh fuck, now we got to get out of here. So they're trying to run
Ross
to get
is
out
like,
of there.
this place is full of holes.
That's right. Yeah. And he ends up
and so
popping
he's
out.
up onto the roof, and so they're trying to get down and out of there. And Tobin just fucking runs off again.
Yeah.
And then Becky and Cal are sitting there being like, well, where's Travis? And Cal's like, he's coming. And then Becky's like, well, what did you do?
Because he tells her to forget about that asshole.
Yeah.
And so she's like, you did something. And he's like, well, he can't really deny it. So
exactly.
That's whenever she runs off from him. And it was so sad because they were literally almost there. They were so close.
He was
like, let's go through here. And she just walks off. And so he chases after her.
And then this is where Ross starts chasing after Cal, and he makes
very fast
turns, like freakishly fast.
Yeah,
he makes some turns, and then Ross is like, calculating everything, and then he catches up to him, and he's like, "Oh, I know what you're thinking. You should have turned left, and then instead of right, or you should have gone straight and this way and that." And he was like, "But let me tell you, you did all that. You did turn right. You did turn left. You went all the ways." But every choice led you back to me. And then this is where he looks over.
Very romantic.
Yeah.
And Cal looks over and he sees a previous dead version of him.
Dozens of
literally
dead versions of him.
So it's all just led to this moment of him dying over and over and over again.
Every single time he's been caught.
It's pretty sad.
Yep.
Pretty crazy, pretty bonkers. And so that happens. And then that's whenever at this point, Travis wakes up and he's looking for Becky because he survived somehow falling from the roof.
I think he landed on his dead body.
Is that what it was?
Multiple times.
All the other dead bodies that were there?
Yeah, I think so.
Gotcha. And so he's able to survive it. And so he ends up then walking through the grass and he's trying to find Becky. And I think he ends up finding her, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. Well, no, not quite yet. Because I think this is where Becky and Ross are getting into it. And she stabs him in the eye with the tiny scissors.
Right. Yeah.
And then this is as she like passes out, she starts seeing the grass people again, and then they lift her up and set her down by the rock because they like it felt very reminiscent of Mother with Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
But thankfully without the ripping of babies.
Yeah. It's your standard rock concert. She was surfing the crowd.
Yeah, she was crowd surfing.
Yep.
But they set her down in front of the rock, and then this is where she makes the call.
She calls herself. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. And we also see symbols on the rock of what's about to happen to her and the things that have happened to her. And we see like the symbol of the baby being delivered and stuff and all that.
And then essentially being used as a sacrifice. Yeah, exactly.
For sad.
So kind of like Mother.
Yeah, very much essentially the same kind of plot.
Yeah.
Just told a little different.
In grass instead of in a house that gets continuously burned down.
And so the soil opens up right in front of the rock and it just shows all these roots, but the roots happen to be like literally just like a billion people.
Yeah, it's like thousands of bodies.
Very much what like the Christians
to get out.
Always depict of like what hell looks like.
Yeah.
Just bodies just like burning and in agony and whatever. But it's mud and they're just kind of like clawing at her. And then it flashes to white and it kind of just goes out, fades out, and then we come back to Cal giving her water on her lips and stuff, and like he's calling her the Mother Mary, but aren't you the Mother Mary? And like all this stuff.
It's having very religious undertones to everything that he's saying.
Very cryptic.
It's very creepy.
And he ends up giving her some food and she's like, that is delicious. That tastes so good. Give me more.
And she's basically like, what is this? What are you feeding me?
Munch. And then we look over and it's her baby.
It's the baby or herself. I couldn't tell.
See, same. I was like, wait, is that her? Because he ends up and it tastes just like you.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, wait, is it her or is it the baby?
The placenta.
I feel like it could be the baby though.
I feel like it could be the baby. That's what my original thought. I put my notes go feeding her something, feeding her the baby ?
It's gotta be the baby.
Herself ?
Because it's just grass.
Oh, also this is okay. Yeah, this is where Travis finds Becky now. But is Travis not a Bam Margera type at this point in the film? Doesn't he look like Bam Margera?
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he is. Yeah.
Sorry, I was like, he's such a Bam Margera type.
He is. And he ends up finding her back at the
13-year-old me had a crush on him.
And she is mumbling about the baby, and then like Tobin comes out and says Ross is like, my daddy killed
the baby,
and he's gonna just keep on killing us, and he's gonna keep doing it over and over and over again.
And he killed Cal too.
But then we have Travis and Ross fighting because Ross comes out of fucking nowhere again.
Because he's been watching him this whole time, as he has been the
entire
whole time.
Yeah. And that's whenever Ross ends up grabbing a bone out of the ground and he ends up fucking like stabbing Travis really bad.
Which was pretty brutal. It was pretty cool.
And he picks up Tobin and he breaks Tobin's neck. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like,
would have been pretty brutal.
Fuck, he did?
No.
I thought he just tried to make him touch the stone.
So he does. He's just trying to make him touch the stone, but before he can make him touch the rock, Becky ends up coming out and blinding his other eye with
that crab necklace.
Yeah, and stabbing him. And that's whenever Travis gets up and is able to then finish off Ross by like getting some grass and choking him out essentially with the
Travis kills Ross with the grass.
Yeah, which is what was
giving him life.
Exactly. And that's pretty much what happens in a nutshell. And then Becky is dead.
Becky is dead yet again.
And Travis touches the rock.
Travis touches the rock because he's like, whatever happens, do not let them come in here again. And he was like, I will sacrifice myself for her. This is like the ultimate sacrifice. Yeah. He's like, I'll stay in here so that way she can live forever.
Because everything turns red.
Not live forever, but
he starts seeing the way out, and he starts to, because he touches the rock, he now knows everything, and he's fighting the power of the rock to, I guess, make him want to just like kill people or do bad. I don't know.
And make more people. I feel like it makes you, want to get more people in. The whole idea of religion and stuff is to grow.
That's the whole message.
Yeah,
I didn't even get that until just now. That makes sense.
It's to grow your congregation.
More and more people, more and more people, brainwash more people.
That's why Ross kept bringing them to the rock, saying, just touch it, because he's trying to get more people to stay there, and it's just getting more people to be in the grass. And so I think that's what he's fighting, but he's like, no, Travis has enough wits about himself still.
He's smart
to let Tobin out. And so he leads Tobin, he runs him to this spot and then basically picks him up and then sets him down inside the church, which was pretty wild. And
then he exit the door of the church and walks out of the church and leaves the church.
It was so cool.
Oh, that is so metaphorical.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even get that until just now.
Yay.
I mean, I picked up on the religious
undertones.
Tone, but I didn't even think about it in that context. Oh, that's so true. Okay, cool.
He left the Church of the Redeeming Black Rock.
I like this movie way more now.
Well, good.
Okay. And
Yay.
So, he ends up setting Tobin free, and Tobin is able to then like walk out of that church. And as soon as he walks out, we're back at the cycle starting over because Becky and Cal are at the car and they're just about to go in and start chasing after Tobin in the grass. But Tobin goes out there and is just like, don't do it.
Don't listen.
Please don't do it. Like,
please
I know.
Don't go in there.
Don't go in there. I know it sounds like me, but just like, let's get in the car and I'll explain.
Yep. But let's just get away from here.
And Cal is even about to go in, but then Tobin shows Becky the little necklace.
The crab necklace,
and they have the same necklace. And so she's like, something's not right here. Let's trust this kid.
And she's like, who gave this to you? And he says, Travis. And then that's when Becky's like, okay, no. Yeah. Let's get in the car. Something's not right. And they get in the car and she decides, no, we're going to go back, take him to a police station in Topeka and not head to San Diego because I'm going to keep Jenny.
Exactly.
And stuff.
Yeah. And then even Cal's like, are you sure? And she's like, yes. He's like, what about that family? And she's like, I have my own family now.
And we end with a shot of Travis hearing them drive off and he just lays down. And I think this is the end of this, Travis. And he dies. Yeah. I think.
I guess, yeah. And then I don't know if that means that there's somewhere in this world, I guess there is a Travis that never did come in there.
Yeah, because he never went to look for him.
Exactly.
That's what I'm thinking. But, and then maybe.
And then, but does Tobin have a family then? That never
possibly with another Tobin?
There has to be, because.
Otherwise.
Because they only went in there because Travis was in there. And if Travis never went to go look for Becky and Cal, then they would have never gone in there. So, yeah.
But I wonder if
then does that mean that there's like now two Travises and two
potentially
multiples of,
or it's all just because they stopped the loop, it never happened.
But like, since they're driving back to Topeka
with Tobin, I think
does it get there?
I think there would maybe be two Tobins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
one Tobin will cease to exist.
And then like he just happens to be here, and then they're like, oh shit, why the fuck is Tobin all the way in Topeka? How did that happen? Weird. Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. Can't think about it too hard. Because I don't understand how time works.
I'm ready to rate.
Yes.
I was going to come in here and give this hoe a 2.
Really?
But you know what? I'm giving it a 3.5. Because now I get it. Now I get it a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't put those two together like that at first. Like the whole now, like, oh, and especially, and I already told you at the beginning how I really loved how he ended up being in that room in the church and then leaving it. I was like, such a cool tie-in. Now it's even more of a tie-in because it's even metaphorical of him now saving him and then putting him in the church, but then he's exiting the church. Which I feel like is kind of a lot of like people who grew up in the church as a kid, like myself who like
and me
and you, yeah, who grow up in it, and then like you are able to then like actually, grow up, create your own thoughts, your own ideologies, not create, but like, figure out what's for you and what's not.
Yeah.
And it just makes a lot of sense.
It does.
It's just like, yeah, okay. So I would give it a 3.5 because that's pretty cool. And I also really like the whole like multi-dimensional, interdimensional, I don't know, like just like we have multiple of the same people, but not. And then like I kind of like Barbarian. I do enjoy how like the movie started with like we start with them and then we cut to like a whole nother story and then we cut to another story and then they all tie in together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I did like that. I am almost inclined to give this movie a 5. I really enjoyed it. I think I'll give it a 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Know what? Fuck it. I'm going to give it a 5.
Give it a 5.
Yeah.
If you want to give it a 5, give it a 5.
I think I'll give it a 5 because I just overall, I thought the acting was great from everyone. Mm-hmm. There's not a single moment where I questioned anyone's acting. The music, everything from the score to the way it was shot, I thought that maybe I would be a little like put off by the red scenes and like the baby getting entangled in the grass and stuff.
Travis's heart getting with the grass whenever he touched the rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that maybe I wouldn't like that, but I do like it.
It's a cool visual of like what's happening inside them.
Of
like,
them literally becoming one with the grass. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like they accepted the grass into their heart.
Mm-hmm. I will say though, that kind of almost didn't match the tone of the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
But
maybe it's supposed to. Like, I mean, the whole becoming a part of that religion with the rock is out of place, and it's otherworldly. It's this other entity, and I think it needed. I think it needed that stark contrast.
And then the rock. What do you think about the rock? Like, could the rock be alien? Maybe you think? In nature, as opposed to like maybe instead of us thinking like it was more demonic or like entity, but it could be like an alien sentient being.
I do think it could have been alien-esque because whenever Andrew was asking me about what this film was about, I had said I was like potentially aliens / a divine being kind of thing. It did to me give very alien in nature, which I mean a lot of ancient aliens and stuff like that. It felt very much like that with the runes and the carvings and everything on it, and just being this thing that
all these civilizations before us,
and
like what we knew.
I mean, and if you watch, like I was watching this one show called like Ancient Apocalypse or something, because
I love shit like
why
that.
not? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just talking about like all the different civilizations that existed before like the Ice Age.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, and how they had these advanced like places and stuff like that, and how
and it just takes they got wiped out.
Yeah.
And now it's just so much time has passed. That was a millennia ago, and now we're in our whole separate timeline.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's wild.
So it's just bizarre to think about. And and this did give like alien intervention / just some sort of god, otherworldly being, another interdimensional being.
Because then it's like, who created the church? Like, who built the church?
Yeah.
Like, who made that room? Who, like, all of it? Like,
some sort of follower, I suppose, took it over and took it upon themselves to bring more people to the rock, and they thought they needed a place to congregate. But I don't know. Yeah. So I'm going to give it a 5. I liked it. And overall, love it.
3.5. So between us, that's a 4.
4. Yay. Yeah. A 4 for 2019's In the Tall Grass.
Wait, I don't think that's a 4. If I gave it a 3.5 and you get it a 5, I think it's like a 4.2. Yeah, like 4.25. Yeah. But yeah, In the Tall Grass. We watched it on Netflix.
Yes.
We're going to be covering a lot of films over the next few drops that are on Netflix. Shout out to Netflix. Please sponsor us.
Yeah.
Right. Like if only we could get Netflix to sponsor. I don't think they need us.
Yeah. Well, they might after they take away these password sharing.
When does that start?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
Hopefully not before this month is up because I don't have my own Netflix.
I share mine with someone. Sorry to them. And so Yeah, please follow along. Keep up with us. We'll also be on Bibliophobia, another great podcast that is on Rogue Media, covering the short story version of
That's right.
In the Tall Grass.
Which and we can do a little comparison with the film, which would be fun.
And we're going to be covering also a couple other films that we already know of. We're going to be doing In the Mouth of Madness. That is a listener request.
Yes, from Kenny.
Super excited to cover it. I actually already watched it.
Really? I haven't watched it yet.
I'd never seen it before. It was actually a pretty good movie.
I'm excited to watch it.
Very 90s, but pretty good. Came out in 94, year we were born. So
cool. Love
can't go wrong. And it has Sam Neill, dude from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
So. And we're going to be covering His House.
His House, yes. I'm so excited. This one was one of my picks, and I hope that you love it
in honor
as much
of Easter.
as I do.
No, I'm just kidding. And then we're who knows, but we're gonna be covering some other shiz too.
Lights Out.
Lights Out. Oh, I'm super excited for that one.
Yeah.
Honestly, Lights Out.
I'm excited for Lights Out as well. It will be coming to Netflix on April 11th.
So if you want to watch it with us, please do so and let us know your review or something, your boo rating, so that way we can.
How you felt about them.
Say it. We'll make sure to tag you.
Yes, exactly. But as always,
please make sure that you rate.
We're in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios.
I was like, let me let you do that. And you can listen to our show and a bunch of other great shows like Bibliophobia, right? And other shows on roguemedianetwork.com.
That's right. And you can also listen to us on a slew of other podcasting platforms, the biggest two being
Spotify
and also Apple. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then if you would like to let us know your thoughts on any of the films we just talked about, if you have any new listener requests that you'd like to give us, please reach out to us on our one social media platform, which is Instagram, and that is at
Boobays Podcast, and that's at BOOBAES, because we're your boobays, not your boobabes.
That's right. And then until next time, you guys.
Bye, babes.
Bye, babes.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.